This conference will now be recorded.
And then I'm also going to just share my screen here. Oops. All right. How's everyone doing this morning?
Pretty well.
Tired.
Good.
I'm feeling a little tired myself. It's a dreary Monday morning. So let's see, we've got a couple callers on here. I would just want to make sure I've got everybody down here. So I see Gabrielle, Lucy, Shantae, Art, Michelle, and who's the caller that we have? Is that Carrie?
It is, yeah.
Okay. So it looks like maybe we're missing Jeff and Lisa, Gabrielle. All right. Well, let's go ahead and start the meeting. Oops. Only got one slide, so it's a little. All right. All right. Well, I know you're all very busy, so thanks for joining us this morning. Did someone else just join the call? All right. All right. Well, yeah, happy holidays. Is everybody settling in for a week of meals, gathering with friends or family, or anyone doing something? I thought we could just share what we any traditions you make, something for a family. It doesn't have to be food, like a holiday gift or something like that. We actually make granola every year for our friends and family as little gifts, just kind of holiday gifts. This year we're actually doing that, and we're also giving away lots of garlic from our farm because we have so much that we know is going to be spoiling soon. So we're giving little garlic braids away too, which is something we've never done. It's been kind of fun. But yeah, just invite anyone if they want to share anything fun they're doing is in the gift giving season.
Hello, everybody. We are, wow, this is the third year in a row that we have done a holiday food box giveaway. First 2 years, we did 50 families, and we got very ambitious this year, and we did 200 families. And so, yeah, we are very excited and honored to have been able to assist this many people. We're tore down from it.
That's why we're tired today. We did it all weekend long.
Yeah, Saturday and Sunday. And so I am excited because we have a few days of downtime, and we're going to spend the holidays with a few of our farmers that live on site, and we're going to do a non-traditional Thanksgiving. Shantae is going to bless us with oxtails and coconut rice, rice and peas, and I'm going to be creative and have a dish, collard green coleslaw. So I'm really excited to just stay home, be in the kitchen, and bless our families with that. That's our share.
That sounds lovely. How about you, Lucy?
Hi. So we will be donating lots of tamales to Reno School District. Tamales that almost twice a year when I clean out my freezer. It's good product, but it's just product that, you know, some stores discontinued. So just today we'll be delivering that. So, and it's lots and lots of tamales. So I'm excited about that. And as far as Thursday, just the traditional turkeys, but tomorrow I'll be handing out turkeys to my staff, so that's exciting. Yeah, and that's it.
Thanks for sharing.
Hey, it's Carrie.
Hey, Carrie.
Hi, we just finished up our farmers market on Sunday, and also had our Thanksgiving shares go out to our CSA members. So it's kind of like the weekend for me, which, excuse me, I'm pretty excited about. As far as the holiday goes, we are staying low key and at home. My family is in Indiana and Washington, so we're kind of all over the place. So we're going to Zoom, I think, a little bit over the holiday, and we love to do puzzles, so we bought a couple of puzzles, and we'll probably be doing that most of the day, staying inside and resting up. We also have a farm worker that lives on site too, so we hope to have an outdoor gathering with him if it doesn't rain as well. So
The puzzling season. I hear a lot of people doing puzzles right now.
I love puzzles.
Thanks, Carrie.
Well, as you guys saw earlier, it's already Christmas at my house. My significant other hates it, but I am all for skipping Thanksgiving and moving straight into Christmas. We don't get a lot of time to celebrate Christmas around my family because we've got two folks, well, actually three of the guys have birthdays that follow Christmas. And so we really try hard to get like all of our decorations out and done. Most of the time it's actually Christmas Day that we take all of our decorations down. So we try to get them up early. So right now I've just slowly been bringing things for Christmas out of the shed into the house. So my husband doesn't like yell at me that all of the stuff is already up. And so we'll probably spend Friday decorating for Christmas up here. Unfortunately, we don't get to go home or see any of our family just because my husband has to work on Wednesday and Friday and then Saturday as well. And we've got a few other things that we've got going. So we'll probably just do, we've got a tomahawk steak in the freezer. We might do one of those on the Traeger and just hang out and relax around home. But as for the gift giving side of things, my family normally does, my grandparents normally give all of us grandkids and our significant others some sort of ammunition. But because it's been very difficult this last couple of months to find any ammo, they've basically said you're on your own. So I've been delegated as the seeker of the ammunition. And I've been trying to find enough for all of us kids. So that's kind of been my little side project this last couple of weeks.
Okay, well, yeah, holiday season is here.
I'll have to apologize if you guys saw earlier, the dogs are very needy this morning, and so is the cat. So you might see some animals popping in and out of frame, so I apologize if they're distracting.
All right, thanks for sharing, everyone. Michelle, did you want to share anything about the holiday season for you? There's no pressure, of course.
Hi, thanks. Yeah, this platform is really, I don't know, I'm uncomfortable with it. But we're staying put too. Just I really want to see my family, but they're older and we're just kind of being careful. about that. So we're kind of doing a non-traditional Thanksgiving. My kids are picking out, they wanted to do more like international cuisine. So they're each picking out one thing from another country that we're gonna kind of play around with and make. And for gift giving, I usually make various things for the family members. Nobody really lives near us, so we tend to send boxes down with some of the stuff we've grown, and then some of the products that I make kind of from the stuff we grow, and that always feels good just to have them a part of that. And we're in Talent, which has been affected by the fires pretty dramatically. So we've been kind of involved with the Rogue Food Unites and the local food bank, just donating what we can there. And so our thing is we grow winter squash, and so this is kind of our deadline. The end of this week, all the rest of it goes to all the food banks. So hopefully that'll get people through. At least it'll hold up for a couple more months for people, and I'm sure they'll get sick of it like we do too. But that's what we're up to.
That's a great idea to choose different cuisines for a meal.
Yeah, it'll be fun. I'll get them more involved, I hope, so I'm not in the kitchen by myself.
Yeah, it's a fun way to get kids excited about trying new foods. All right, well, thank you all for sharing. I hope you all have a safe and healthy holidays, and especially this week. I know a lot of people are busy cooking and gathering, so all right, well, I thought we could start with if there are any updates. I know there's been some delays with some of the initial disbursements, and so we can talk briefly about that. But if anyone had an update on their project that they wanted to share, I thought we could spend a couple minutes sharing out about that. And then if any of you had any conversation with any of the school buyers about your project, we did not contact them to let them know you were funded, and I just was curious if any of you talked to the school buyers that you'll be eventually, hopefully working with under your project. So yeah, so why don't we just start with Lucy?
Hi. Okay. So yeah, I met with Woodburn School District, and I showed him the new meal that we're making. With it has a tamale with rice and beans. And I went and met with him on a Friday. By Monday, and I did share about this grant that we got. And by Monday, they placed their order. So that was exciting. And yeah, so I wish I had my machine already though, but and I also talked to Whitney about it, and Beaverton School District and Umatilla, and share that award because they were also part of this, because they gave me that letter that they would be buying. So, yeah.
Great. Sounds like you were off to even talking to a new buyer potentially with working with Woodburn. That's awesome. Carrie, do you want to go next?
Sure. A cute little story. I did post about us getting the grant, and apparently our town, Willamina, is just a town of about 2,100, 2,200 people. So it's pretty small, and the West Valley in general only has one paper. We lost one paper a few years back, and then someone started doing a volunteer paper, and now it's become our little news bulletin, basically. And it's a free paper that goes out every week. And so I posted about our grant, and about a week later, one of the community members emailed me and congratulated me, and said he was completely surprised when he looked at the news bulletin. And this isn't something I get delivered or anything to to the farm, but he said that he saw an article in the news bulletin about Mama T's grant. And so I, of course, went down to town and grabbed the news bulletin, and we were right there on the front page of the news bulletin about our grant. So I thought that was cute. And our school district nutritionist, Lynn, she knows that we've been awarded the grant as well. And we're due for a meeting in January to start talking about what our season is going to be like and what their needs will be, since everything's been so kind of, I think actually the Willamina School District had a case of COVID, and so they shut down. They were doing, because our numbers have been a lot lower out here, they were doing part-time in-school, part-time online distance learning. So I think they're now all distant learning, and I don't know how long that's going to be for. So it's been kind of up and down with what their needs are. And so we're planning just to get together and talk spring. We won't have our tunnels up by then, but we have other tunnels to start growing food for them. So we are looking forward to that. And hopefully we'll see come spring what is happening with how they're working the school. As far as an update with the project, we've ordered our Caterpillar tunnels and accessories for them. They are on back order, like 8 to 10 weeks. So we're really not expecting them until probably the end of the year, if not the first of next year. And our fields, we got prepared back in October, early October, or late even September. They're under cover crop right now. So it's kind of just a waiting game to get all the equipment going and then find some dry weather to start building. That's about it.
Great, thank you. Art and Shantae?
Yeah, so we've been in conversation with Donald E. Long, the Juvenile Detention Center, and been providing some collards and mustards and things like that to them. We haven't scaled up quite yet, just because we don't have everything in place, but we probably will be moving forward with setting up some meetings with Kairos and Corbett School District as well to re-engage with them. I know because the schools and the way that food is being distributed, it's a little bit different, a lot different than what it was. And so we'll kind of see how that plays out. But yeah, we'll still be providing food to Donald E. Long. And I'll turn it over to Art to give.
Well, we've also been working, having conversations about starting a food pantry for the school.
Yeah.
So those are things that are in the works.
Yep, that's all I got. Oh, and we just made our announcement on Facebook and got a lot of love and support from community about that.
You want me to check in about?
Yeah.
Project?
Yep, go ahead.
I've been going crazy. I've been going crazy. There's been a lot of things on our list, our bucket list, things to do. Aquaponics build out. We have starting October 1. We jumped right in there. We are 98% complete with our aquaponics build, so I'm very happy about that. We have, amazingly, we were able to get our electricity to our greenhouse and our aquaponics completed, so that's amazing. We're also able to purchase the implements for our tractors so that we are able to be more productive. I can't wait until the spring so I can get in and do some dirt work, but those are the things off on our bucket list so far. There's a few things. We have prepped the site for our high tunnels, but there is a backlog on purchasing tunnels right now. It's like 6 weeks out. I think NRCS dumped a bunch of money into the community at the same time to sort of put people who provide the high tunnels are backlogged. So we probably won't be able to do any get our high tunnels up until next year, but we're still very excited.
Great. Sounds like, yeah, you got a lot. You've been really busy. In addition to all the other stuff that you are doing right now in the community. So sounds great. Your aquaponics project's almost done.
Yeah, we're picking up 200 catfish this week and putting them into the system. We will be growing throughout the winter in the aquaponics. We're going to be able to condition that space, heating and lighting. And so we're going to get it going and just kind of, it's a great time to experiment with it. So we're ready for the spring.
And
Will
Lucy,
you-
I just have to say, every time Art hears about your tamales, he just cringes because it makes him so hungry.
She pinches me because I'm going to say something to her. And she's like, she pinches me. Don't say nothing. I love tamales. Love to partner with you or have a conversation with you in the future. During the holiday time, I have friends and family that I've been blessed to be able to spend time with their family, and that's what they do during the holidays. They make the masa, they do all that, and I got a chance to experience that for 2 to 3 years in a row. I miss it.
Anytime, we're just down from Corbett if you're in Corbett, just on Gleason.
Oh boy.
So I also wanted to share about speaking with the company that's making our tamale machine. A little bit of changes that we've done is it was NSF, and I needed to learn a little bit more about that. And they switched it from like NSF, like the stainless steel or something, to USDA approved. And I'm like, well, what's the difference? I guess something about oh gosh, what's the word? Not the sealing, but how they weld it or something like that. It's more access to like for cleaning it. And also the extruder, the cutting, that's going to be cutting the tamales, because we need, so I could make like different sizes. And so we've been talking about that. And then also from going from like a cheese and bean tamale to a meat tamale. So this week I actually sent samples down to California. And but yeah, so been doing a lot of talking, and it sounds like my phone's ringing on the back.
Thanks, Lucy. Well, maybe there's partnership in your future with Art and Shantae. That'd be kind of fun to do maybe even like a meal together where you've got some of their products and yours as a school lunch. I know you were talking about serving vegetables alongside the tamales for that full meal, the full meal kits. So who knows? But that's what these projects are all about too, is helping to connect you guys.
We would totally be down for that, Lucy.
I volunteer for sampling.
Tamales.
Mhm. All right, so hopefully, I hope you're all able to see my screen. For those of you that are on the phone, I think Carrie, you must be calling in from a phone line or your cell phone?
Yeah, I called in from the phone because it's just easier out here.
Yeah, so I just have one slide up that just has some of the other things that we'll talk about today. So I'll just quickly read those to you. So we'll talk a little bit about the disbursement, checking in with you all about that, the initial disbursement delay. And then there's a reporting deadline coming around the corner of January 31st, and you're welcome to submit before that, of course. And so we'll talk a little bit about any questions you might have about the expenditure workbook as you're going through that, and then the progress report, which is just a narrative Word document. And then I wanted to spend just a little bit of time talking about your calendars for 2021 and when might be the best time to schedule a site visit, or when I can come out to come out to the farm or come out to Lucy's and sit down with you and sort of walk through some things. So we can talk about the timing of that. And is there anything else that comes to mind for people that they wanted to talk about today? It's not on this list. You know, I just realized, I think, Michelle, I think I'm sorry, I apologize. I think I might have skipped your update.
That's okay. I was kind of relieved actually because we're just coming down off our season. So it's been just a real mad rush to get the farm cleaned up and cover crop planted, and we've been very short on labor this year, so it's been a very grueling season for us. So I'm switching gears and going into my office this week and getting caught up on everything. And so this is good because I'm making a list of all the things that I need to do this week to get things going again. And the one update is that the person that was going to do our well for us, his business burnt down during the Talent Fire. So we're kind of looking at that. I think he is relocating, and so there could be a little delay with that. So that's going on. I made myself a list to contact Sodexo, is kind of the big food meal provider here in Jackson County and throughout Rogue Valley. So I want to contact them, and she wrote a really nice letter on our behalf, for the grant. So just calling them and thank them for that and tell them that yes, we're getting clean water out to the farm. So that's going to really make things easier for us to get our food safety and other opportunities. So that's on my list. And also, we lease our land, so just kind of getting the final okay with them as to where we're going to be placing the well, and hopefully they're going to be helping us with pouring some cement, getting a little slab going, so we have an area for cleaning vegetables and stuff too. So that's where it's at this point.
Thanks, Michelle. I know there's quite a bit of recovery effort in your region, and if there's anything, I'm really sorry to hear about the business that you're working with for the well installation. If there's anything that you need or we can help out with, please reach out. We know the fires have been really devastating down there in that region. So if there's anything we can do, don't hesitate to reach out to myself or Gabrielle.
Okay, thanks.
All right, so let's talk just briefly about your disbursements. We did have a delay in the disbursements, and that was mostly related to just the paperwork issue where we didn't have the contracts completed before we were issuing the initial invoices to accounts payable. So that caused a little bit of a unanticipated delay that I don't think will happen again now that we have all the executed agreements in and we have all of the grant numbers assigned and all of you have your W-9s into accounts payable. In addition to that, of course, though, was the mandatory freeze that the governor issued last week, and that is keeping all of our offices fairly closed down. So our accounts payable staff are working almost exclusively from home, but they are running, they will run batches of payments. So they should be issuing payments. You should be getting a payment hopefully this week. I don't know with the mail if that, with the holiday in there, what that will look like, but
so
yeah,
the accounts payable is writing the checks and mailing them this week, so they should see the checks hopefully next week. With the holiday, like you were just saying, we don't know exactly what time that is, but I do want to also note that it's not just ODA that has to just issue the payment. ODA has to issue the payment, and then Department of Administrative Services has to review that payment. They have to okay it and then come back to the ODA and allow us to pay it. So there is a few steps in there that with working from home, with the freezes, it's not just ODA staff that we have to deal with. It's another whole system that we have to work within. And some of you guys I've contacted because there were other things at the Secretary of State level, you know, some things that we might hold part of your disbursement out because you're not, you know, even with other state agencies. So if there's anything weird with your check that comes through, please give me a call. We'll chat about it. Make sure everybody's on the same page, that we've got everybody the disbursement that they should receive. But we're hoping to get those to you guys by the end of next week, latest in your hands. But of course, with the holiday, we're not 100% sure.
Question. You said it was the Department of, Gabrielle, you were saying there's another entity, Department of
Administrative Services.
Services. So
Yeah.
we had a minor issue with them that we rectified, but we were wondering if it's appropriate for us to be able to contact them and let them know that we corrected that, or is that something?
For you. I've already notified them when you and I had that conversation.
Okay.
I emailed them while we were on the phone, made
And-
sure that they're going to reach out to the Department of DAS and make sure that they know that that's taken care of, and then they'll move the payment forward. Everybody else that I've contacted has gotten me all of their information back. Hopefully that means that when our team comes in this week to issue those payments, that they can send that corrected information to DAS to review. And once DAS comes back and says approved, hopefully we'll get you guys your check within the next couple of weeks.
Amazing. Thank you.
I guess I have a quick question too, just to clarify what you said, Gabrielle. Is there a chance that the checks could be a different amount than what was contracted for?
If I have not contacted you about it, then no.
Oh, okay.
If you have some issue with, stop it, girls. Sorry, my dogs are fighting. If you have some issue with another department that you have some payment that's not been sent through, or you have some back taxes you need to owe, those types of things get reported to the Secretary of State, and then DAS looks at Secretary of State information to make sure that you are up to date with all of the agencies that you work with. And if you're not, then they will garnish your check for the amount that that agency is owed. Fortunately, if I haven't contacted you, you have no issues. If I've contacted you, we've rectified the issue. We're good to go. So yeah, you shouldn't have any problems. And we should be getting your check soon. I, again, apologize for the delay. You know, working from home has been hard on a lot of folks. So.
Okay, thank you.
And Gabrielle, is that something that issuing that payment review will happen every time then? Every time that there's a payment issued, DAS will review it for
Yes.
for any outstanding payments with other state agencies, is that?
That is correct. And that's no matter the type of payment, whether it's a grant or like if you overpaid on an organic registration, whatever that extra that they're going to disperse to you, that payment always gets checked through the DAS system, no matter what it is.
Okay. All right. Well, I think we will at least be able to issue those a little bit sooner next quarter than this past quarter, again, because we had a paperwork delay on our side. So we apologize for that. All right, so we have a reporting deadline coming up. And I actually thought it was a little bit earlier than January 31st. But again, the sooner you get it in, the more quickly we can, we can process it and get your second disbursement of funds issued. So that's another thing to consider. So I just wanted to open it up for any questions that people have. I'll actually, for those of you on the phone or unable to see my screen, I was just going to show the workbook in case there were questions about that. So this is the workbook template. and which each of you have your own workbook that's been customized for your project with your information in it. Your input form has already been completed, and then of course your budget is already, you know, been put into the format as well. So it should compute out the subtractions from your expenses and things like that. So we just wanted to open it up for any questions about the workbook, if you have them right now, and especially for quarter one, for your first invoice, you know, if you have questions about this spreadsheet. Well, I guess I'll ask, everybody has received their workbook, correct? And it may be just a matter of not spending a lot of time with it just yet.
I've opened up, this is Carrie, I've opened up the email that Gabriel sent about the workbook, and it says here's a login site specifically for reporting and invoicing. So is that where we go to get our workbook?
No, you should have your workbook as an Excel document in that email.
Oh, okay. So it's the Excel document. What is what's the login exactly then? Oh, that's where we turn in the report. Is that right?
Right.
Yeah.
So when you that's our file drop system. So when you are ready to submit your quarterly invoice as well as your progress report, which would be in a Word document, you will upload those onto that file sharing site, which is a secure site that we would use then to receive those documents.
Got it. On my end, yeah, I haven't looked. I've looked over this Excel briefly, but we have only ordered our tunnels, and we were kind of waiting on the disbursement to get started on our tractor and implements. So I haven't really looked much at this Excel, and I'll probably have more questions about it when I'm actually doing the report, which probably won't be until, you know, a month or maybe even 6 weeks away.
Yeah, that's totally fine.
So on the management side of just to give you guys a little bit of a heads up, a couple of different items I will be emailing you / contacting you with. I always send a reporting reminder out to everyone with the other grants that I work with. Normally it's about 45 days beforehand, but with your guys' grants kind of being a little bit delayed with the initial disbursement, excuse me, we'll probably send that out around the first of the year, give you guys, you know, that 30-day mark. But if you have any questions about the template while you're working in it, please feel free to give me a call. I can walk you through, you know, submission, what should be included. In our training video that I also sent out earlier, there is a section on the reimbursement workbook. So if you're doing it on a weekend and you can't get a hold of me, that's also a great place to visit. But one thing I did want to point out to everybody is you have to have both your financial expenditure worksheet, so what's on the screen now, as well as your progress report in and approved to receive your next 25% of your funds. So just make sure that as you're working through your report, that you make sure that this is also accompanied when you turn both of those items in. We want to make sure those are in at the same time so we can get that disbursement processed and much quicker than this first one back out to you. So just wanted to note that.
Quick question. I've had a couple areas of my budget that have went over, and I'm trying to understand, like, when I fill out this form here, do I if it went over, let's say $1,000, do I put the amount that I budgeted, from the grant, or do I put the total amount, and then is there a way for me to just say we spent this extra amount on it? Because the invoice is going to show that it was more than what I was budgeted to do, but we covered the cost outside of that.
That is a great question. So what you're going to do is you're going to put the actual amount spent, and then in the cost details, it's a little difficult because the cost details, you only have so much room, but I can go in and open it up. So what you'll do is you'll say cost details, we purchased implement, whatever, full cost is this, we are spending X amount from the grant. The extra $1,000 is coming from our matching funds. That way, when I review the invoice, I can go back and look at your cost details and expand that open and see how much you're paying. Another method you can do this is also to write on the invoice that this portion is going from the grant money, this portion is coming from the cash side of things. It's best to put it in both of the places. And then when I review the expenditure report, I'll just note that and you'll be good to go. So you put the actual cost of how much you're spending from the grant into the budget.
Okay, so another question is that at the time we applied for this grant, we didn't anticipate having additional funding. And so our match was our hours, which I'm wondering, should we consider this overage as a match, or should we continue to use the hours that we put down that we would apply to this project as the in-kind? You see what I'm saying with that?
More match is not worse.
Okay.
I mean, you're spending the money on the grant. You
Yes.
might as well note that your match got increased, and then move on from there. It shows that you're more dedicated to the project. It shows that you have more, personal skin in the game type of thing on your project. So you're already spending money towards it. As long as it's an allowable item, I wouldn't see why you wouldn't put it in your match column.
Okay, thanks.
Yep.
The other thing I think that is important about the match is that it's also helpful for us to know, even though you may have had, for example, there were match requirements like 10 to 20% match requirements for the project, that it's helpful for us to know more accurately how much the project really cost you in kind to implement. And that is helpful I think for us as funders to know that information. So, I mean, yes, you're only required to maybe track 10% of your match based on your project, but if it took you, 20% or even more of your labor or other associated costs, I think that's helpful for us to know so that we get a better picture just, of how much these projects truly do cost grantees. So that'd be another reason, to report fully your match hours or your match dollars, whatever you're calculating.
So it's just important to, in the cost details, to basically just give a narrative of the overage and go from there, because it helps you on your end. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, and you also can use in your in-kind match here. So you've got a tab on your workbook for in-kind, and this is where you can explain art, where you have, this, let's say you are going to provide, I don't know, 20 hours of labor, but in essence, you wound up, doing 40 hours of labor. You would just discuss that here in your cost detail and in just a couple sentences telling us, it took you longer than you thought, and so that we have a better sense of the true cost, even though that's not what, even though you met your 20, let's just say you had 20 hours you were going to put towards the project. That's what you said you were going to do in your application. We would know that it really, cost you more than that. And that's helpful for us when we're thinking about, I think when we're thinking about how we design these programs, especially these state programs, because these are a little bit different. We have more flexibility going forward than the federal programs, if that makes sense. So you would put that overage Oh, go ahead. Was there a question about this?
That wasn't me. I don't know where that
Oh,
came
okay.
Mhm. I did have a question about the in-kind match versus cash match. Is that in-kind mean more like labor, not actual money put out? Yeah, is it two separate categories or?
Yes, it's two separate categories. So your in-kind is basically anything that is not cash. So that can be labor, that can be supplies donated, that can be education materials donated, those types of things. So if you put time and effort towards your project and you're not getting paid for it, that's in kind. If somebody decided to donate a portion of your high tunnels, like physical supplies, that's an in-kind donation. But if somebody gives you $5,000 to go buy supplies, that's obviously a cash match. So anything that is not cash goes into the in-kind section.
Thank you.
Another thing to note on a little bit in training, but
Yikes.
We're getting a little bit of feedback.
sorry guys.
People want to mute their lines. Okay, thanks.
I think we're good. When you get in kind or cash match, when you're working with that amount of money or that item, you need to put in the cost details and in the cost categories where you're spending that money or where you're putting that money towards. So if you get like supplies donated that are pipes and other items that you need for your high tunnels or you know, like the cement for your well drilling area, you'll need to make sure you put that in the correct cost category. So something like supplies, and then you'll put that in there. So it's not just all within the first cost category. I've seen this happen a few times on some other grants, and people just throw it all in personnel, and then in their cost details say like, oh, it was cement for such and such, and that's not where it needs to go. So make sure that you're putting it in the right cost categories, that you give plenty of detail. And then I'm going to also take your reports and your expenditure workbooks and compare them, making sure that what you say in your report is reflected within the expenditures and vice versa. So Lucy, did you have a question? I saw you came on mute, so.
Yeah, so can you explain the difference between me putting in hours compared to like Ramiro putting in hours? Where would his go and where would mine's the in kind, but would his be also in that too? Okay. And then where it says invoice, you know, on the in kind, is that, I mean, I see invoice at the end where it says item. I'm a little confused on here.
So this is like if a company decided to Thanks. So this is like if your partnering organization said, we're going to have 3 of our workers come and donate 20 hours of their time to you, and they provide you with some sort of written documentation that their folks provided those hours to you, and they did it in a form of invoice, and so that invoice has a number. You don't necessarily have to fill out the invoice number section on your matching or within your workbook. It's only if your invoice has a number. So that way, if you give us 7 invoices within your entire workbook system, I can go through and pair those invoices to the correct item within your workbook. So if you had like 2 on your in-kind and then 3 within your actual expenditure, I could pull those apart and understand where they go. Invoice is the only one that you can kind of get away with not filling out. I need all of the rest of that information. So what date did they work? What, you know, if it's a date range, you can go ahead and put that date range. The vendor name can either be like the individual that worked, or it can be the individual's company that they work for. So like for you, you can put your company name, and in the cost details, you can say, I work, you know, Lucy worked 20 hours. And then you can put, who was the other guy? Ramiro? Is that what you, yeah, okay. So whatever company they work for, you can put within the vendor name, and then put Ramiro worked 10 hours, whatever that is. So if they're from another company donating their time, that's still an in-kind donation. You'll just need to delineate which company they're from within the vendor name, if that makes sense. Okay, good. Other questions? / did that bring up any more questions? Another thing is, guys, I'm here. This is what I do. I sit on my couch back there, and I have my laptop on my lap and my phone next to me. So if while you're filling this out, you have questions like that, please feel free to give me a call. I can easily walk you through this situation, and it's much faster for you to call me before you turn the item in versus turning it in, me reviewing it, emailing you back, asking for a clarification, and then you having to take time to clarify it and email me back. So it's just faster to do it on the front end, because then as you turn it in, it allows me to say, okay, we've already talked about these items, push it forward and get you guys your disbursement faster.
So Gabrielle, I actually have a question about the disbursements. So one question I have is in order to receive your second disbursement, do you have to have spent all of the 50% of your initial disbursement? So I know we may have some, you know, we may have some balance. So some people may have some balance because they're waiting for, let's say, a balance from their initial disbursement that they haven't spent down yet completely because they're, you know, going to be purchasing something that they need the second disbursement for. Can you explain just whether or not, you know, you have to have expended the full 50% of the initial disbursement, and what, you know, what kind of flexibility grantees have with that? Because I think that's still been a question from the beginning.
Yeah, that's a great question. I was actually looking at the agreement to see if we had any legal language. So you have to show in your evidence the grantee's initial disbursement on eligible. Okay, so you have to show that your initial disbursement is been used in your Q1 expenditure workbook. So what the language basically says is that so in order to receive your second disbursement, you need to submit the progress report and accompanied by a financial expenditure worksheet in the form of the attached document, which we showed you guys, or that's on the screen right now. And such documentation like invoices, purchase orders, and bills of sale that ODA requires to evidence the grantee's expenditure of the initial disbursement on eligible project costs. So basically what that means is that you have to show what your initial disbursement is spent on. And that needs to be supported by invoices, purchase orders, bills of sale. So if, for example, you know, let's take Lucy's tamale machine. If Lucy spends almost all of the 50% on the tamale machine in like a down payment or some sort of form, and she has, you know, a couple thousand left over, she can denote within the expenditure worksheet, this is how much of the money that I got dispersed went to the tamale machine. And then on another line, she can just say to the effect of like a couple, and I'll be able to find this out because I have all of your guys's expenditures on my side of things, I can look at it as well. You know, we have a couple thousand left over. This is going to be, you know, put towards X item. Then I should be able to disperse your next 25%. If you turn in your expenditure worksheet and you've only spent like $1,000, and that's nowhere near what we dispersed to you, you know, if your 50% disbursement was, you know, $50,000 and you've only spent $1,000, we're not going to give you your next 25%. You have to have significantly spent your original disbursement of the 50% of your grant to be awarded your next set of grant funds. It doesn't give us a percentage within the agreement, so that's something that, you know, I can't really say you have to spend X amount, but you have to significantly spend your first 50% in order to get your next disbursement.
A quick question with that, I guess, is you mentioned down payment. So for, let's say for myself, it will be the tractor, and we'll put down a down payment, which will probably equal the rest of the first disbursement, or it might be a little bit less than the first disbursement, just so we have a little bit of funds left over for implements or other things that we still need to purchase. And so if it's the down payment is what you report versus the total cost of the tractor, is that right?
That is correct. So you have to report the items that you spend your money on, if that makes sense. So if you spent money on a down payment, you need to report that that down payment is what you spent money on, if that makes sense, versus you spent a portion towards a tractor. That doesn't quite equate out. So put in, you know, your down payment was $25,000 towards your tractor, and then I know that that's going to be, you know, that's a down payment that's taken off the total. So then when you go and buy the rest of the tractor, you can say, you know, remaining amount of tractor payment, and then move forward from there with the total amount. And then on the invoice, when you're giving supporting documentation, the company that you purchased the tractor from should have on that invoice, you know, down payment was X amount, this next payment is X amount, and move forward from there. So you should definitely have different line items every single time you expend money. You need to have a line for that item.
Okay.
Hope that helps.
Yeah, it does. Thanks.
I had a question about the final tab, the invoice. Is that something that we're to do to summarize all the invoices from all the other places and put it on that final sheet? Or is that something you're doing?
So, there's a little bit of a snag with the disbursements. Technically, I'm not supposed to put them together. Technically, you guys have to put them together, which is why I put the invoice tab there. Basically, what the invoice tab is, and this one, of course, isn't filled out because that grant book doesn't have information in it. But what the invoice tab, I go through and I use it as a format for me to pull for your next disbursement. So I'll put in there like item second disbursement, 25% of remaining funds. And then I go through and do the calculation of your remaining funds from your 50% disbursement. Because it's a little bit more complicated, Amy and I have talked about this. I'm just going to go ahead and get these disbursements out to you guys, and not have you guys do this invoice. So you don't have to worry about it, but we had to provide it to you so that you know this is the invoice that's getting sent to the department with your name on it. That just says this is what you're getting in your disbursements.
I have a quick question. So on the progress report, is there a different template, or are we is this the template you're talking about for the I mean, like I understand this part, but is there another template? There is?
Yeah. So we'll get to the progress report in just a minute,
Oh,
Lucy.
okay. Okay.
But yes, there's two pieces you would submit, two documents essentially that you'll submit when you, for your quarterly report. So Gabrielle, another question I think that's important to clarify is, when grantees complete their quarter one expenditure sheet here, they submit, and I mean, it's a good question that Michelle just brought up about the invoice, but I think it's important so everybody knows that, essentially this is probably the most important, spreadsheet or tab, I should say, for your quarterly invoicing. So this is where you're really going to be documenting all of your expenditures, or your, maybe like Gabrielle was saying, you put a down payment on a supply or a piece of equipment, or maybe you've got a purchasing order out and it's for the partial or for the supply or the equipment, but and that will eventually be paid. So this is really the workbook, or the tab. I keep saying workbook, but this is the tab that's the most important for you when you're documenting your expenditures. And then, as Gabrielle said, and then also, so what you'll do is you'll save this workbook, and then you'll submit this entire workbook when you on your quarterly reporting deadline, so, or before, of course. So it's this entire workbook that Gabrielle will keep updates of over time. And so what she'll do is she'll go in and look at your quarter one expenditures. If there's anything to clarify, again, she'll be in touch with you about it. And then she'll input your invoice. Technically, this is, technically we need an invoice from you, but Gabrielle's going to actually determine what that invoice looks like based on your quarter one, in this instance, quarter one expenditures. So, and then she'll submit the invoice, as she said, to ODA for approval, and then that'll go to Department of Administrative Services for final authorization, and then that will issue your second, the balance of your second disbursement for next spring.
Before they even get paid, it has to have 3 internal ODA signatures on it. So this can sometimes also delay. So I have to sign it saying that I've reviewed your documentation, you're good to go. Amy has to sign it as the basically the head of the program, and then we have to send it to somebody within the ODA that is an authorized signer, which basically means that they're authorizing the ODA to expend that amount of money. So not only does it have to be signed by 3 parties internal, it then has to be sent to our billing department and then on to the rest of the system that we talked about. So sometimes there can be delays in signature, but if you turn in your entire workbook, like Amy was saying, it allows me to look at quarter 1 or 2 or whatever quarter we're on. It also allows me to look at the match pages, because this program does require match. I'm going to need to be able to see those pages. So you have to submit this in Excel. You should not submit this in PDF. Another thing that I can reach out and talk to you guys about a little bit too is, Amy, can you go back to quarter 1 on the worksheet, or really any of the quarters, is up towards the top on the right hand side, you'll see a signature plane. I'll unlock those for you guys after I review your costs and have you sign them. That way it signifies to you and to us that you agree that these are the costs that you have spent. These are the items that you are spending your grant on, and everything is good to go on our side. So that also receives 3 signatures, well, 1 for you and then 2 internal, but that will go along with your invoice and move on at the same time. So hopefully once we get the workbook settled, move forward, ready to go, it shouldn't take too long in that signature process to move forward. But I just want to let you guys know that I'll probably email you back asking for a signature on that workbook. You can place a signature before turning it in, but sometimes that can get a little hazy if I'm trying to ask for clarifications and that. So it's just better if you don't sign it originally and I ask for your signature after approving the costs.
Okay, so it sounds like there'll be a step then, Gabrielle, where grantees have submitted both their workbook and their progress report. You will review all of the expenditures in this case for Q1. And if you have questions about them or need clarification, and also their in-kind, they'll be filling out their cash match or in-kind match tabs as well, that then you'll ask them for clarification, but there will be a final step where they will need to sign the workbook tab here. And can you also explain, Gabrielle, whether people can sign these electronically?
I was just reading my mind this morning. In the email that I'll send to you asking for a signature, there'll be a list of ways that you can sign that we will accept as, quote, live signatures. So if you have something like, I have Adobe Pro, so I can sign actually on the computer, and it's a legitimate signature on my end. So you can print it, physically sign it, scan it, and send it back to me, or take a picture and send it back to me. I know a lot of folks did that for their agreement. They just took a picture of the agreement page. You can sign it electronically with some sort of electronic signature app. I know DocuSign works really well, or if you have Adobe Pro, that also works. Just make sure that you do not lock the document after you sign it, because it does not allow me to sign it if you've locked it. There's a few other methods on there, but when I ask for your signature, there'll be it's like a half a paragraph of different ways that you can sign that we will accept as live signatures. So, you know, if it's something that you guys don't have access to a camera or a scanner or some sort of something on that end of things, we can always work out how you can express mail it to me so I can have that physical page and then scan it and send it into myself so it would be on our server. So basically any way that you need to sign, we can accommodate. I do suggest signing electronically, or, you know, working electronically, whether that's taking a picture and sending it to me email, or scanning it, or signing it electronically, just because it makes the process move faster. But if you're in a location that is not an easy thing for you to do, or something that you have the electronic capabilities to do, please let me know and we will work something out. Either we can send you a UPS label to mail it one day, air next back to us, or we can work through getting you some sort of quick response rate on that through our mailing system. So I also just found a section in the agreement, that is the word I was looking for this morning, where it says conditions for disbursement are basically reliant on what the ODA feels is sufficient evidence that you have used your expenditures to this point. So basically, like I said earlier, if you've only spent 1,000 of your 50,000 initial disbursement, we're not going to disperse your next 25. But if you've spent 49 of that 50,000, we will issue your next 25. So it is truly up to the ODA. That is something that Amy and I will talk internally, making sure that you've spent, you know, the majority of your original award, 50% that got sent out before we issue your next 25. That section, oh gosh, what is this? It's on Exhibit A, Section 9. If folks want to go read that within their award, it's conditions of disbursement.
This is Amy, and I will just also add that, you know, if you find yourself in that situation, or it's looking like you're going to be, only able to spend, a very small amount of your initial disbursement before the deadline for Q1, for example, just again, reach out to myself or Gabrielle, and we'd be happy to talk about your project, and just if you have any concerns about being not having, say, for example, your second disbursement to cover a larger cost in Q2. So let's, so again, we're a small group, and I think that just keep us in the loop on these funds, and we should be able to work something out, because of course we want your projects to be successful. All right, are there any remaining questions about the workbook at this point? I know that you'll probably have some once you start actually using it and inputting some of your expenditures, but if if not, we could move on to the progress report quickly. Cute doggy.
Thank you. She just burped in my face, so that was super gross.
All right, well, let's I'm going to show my screen. I'm going to share my screen again and pull up the progress report. And I think this, this should only take us a couple minutes. This is a fairly straightforward document, but again, you should all have received the template for the progress report. This is what you will submit by January 31st, 2021. And this just has, this just has 2 questions essentially. You'll just give a brief narrative, maybe a short paragraph, 5 to 6 sentences on the accomplishments so far under your project, an estimation of, how much of your project have you completed so far. And you'll also just want to include in here, what you could also include in here, what you've spent. So if you've spent, what you've purchased so far. So you'll want to kind of summarize that in here. And then you'll also just have another question to answer around any of the challenges. So any delays. I know a lot of you said that, for example, Caterpillar tunnels, high tunnels are on back order. A lot of greenhouse supplies are on back order is what we're hearing. A lot of people are doing more season extension projects right now. So, any challenges you might have related to your project, you would include here, as well as ways you've maybe overcome some of the challenges, any corrective actions, etc. This is something that would be probably more relevant. The corrective action section will be more relevant in your final reporting, especially if there's any, changes, directional changes with the project that we were to determine as a result of your site visit. So this is the essentially the Word document that you all should have a template of that Gabrielle set out. And again, we're not looking for, chapters and chapters of reporting. I think just, at the most 1.5 pages probably is sufficient, or 1 page actually, because your projects are fairly small. And you would submit this alongside your invoice. And so again, if we go to your invoice, in your guidance tab, you will find your login site link that Gabrielle has embedded in there. And when you click on that,
One thing to note about the reports as well, if you have any questions for me, go ahead and throw those at the bottom of the report and just put like questions for Gabrielle or questions for ODA. Go ahead and throw those in there. I know on some of the other grant programs I've worked on, some people have done that, and it's really helpful for the questions like, should this be included in the grant report, or should I not, or where does this go? Because then I can just move whatever you put in there, into the right section and shoot you an email and say, hey, this is where that belongs. I've edited your report to reflect this, and then we can move forward from there. Or if you have any questions about, hey, I might be need an amendment for a different type of equipment that we've decided is going to be better, we can answer those questions there.
Okay, thanks, Gabrielle. So here's the file upload site. So when you're ready to, again, if you in your guidance tab under your workbook, this link is embedded. And so this is where you will submit both your Word document and your expenditure workbook. And you'll just want to save those to your desktop or somewhere on your computer, and just enter these fields here, your name, email, and phone number. And then in the comment box here, you can just simply put farm to school grantee, quarterly report. You don't need to give a long explanation there. And then, hit begin upload. And when you do that, it will tell you that your documents have been submitted. So we will get a notification after you do this that there are new files to review in the secure folder. So, but clearly, you can always check in with us too. But we will be notified when you submit.
Please also upload
All right.
invoices that are supporting documentation for your expenditure report. So if you have an invoice of a down payment or different items like that, please go ahead and submit them into this same system. You can submit up to 7 documents at a time. So I recommend if you have more than 7 documents, if you've got like 8 invoices, put them all into one PDF or one Word document and then upload it that way. But if you need to and you can't do that, you can go ahead and do 2 uploads and just do a second set of uploads that's just your invoices or supporting documentation for your expenditure report. That's totally fine. I'll be able to receive them on the same time, and then you guys will get your receipt of that upload. In uploading, please make sure that you include your email and don't skip anything that any of the information that we requested. A lot of folks end up just uploading their document saying, oh, they'll be able to read the document and know who it is. If you don't put your email, you will not receive a copy that says your documents have been uploaded. And then if it's something that the system goes down and I don't get your payment out because I didn't see that your documents were uploaded because they never got uploaded, then you can give us documentation that you uploaded on time. So please make sure to fill everything out and upload your extra information that supports your workbook. Your now I can't think of the word, but the information that supports the expenditures on your workbook. There we go.
A quick question. This is Carrie again. I don't have the go-to, so I wasn't able to look at the progress report that Amy has pulled up, and I can't seem to find it on my email history. So just to let you know, Gabrielle, and it's not a big deal now, we can do it later, but I just sent you an email to maybe resend that progress report template to me when you get a chance.
You got it. I will re-email it to everybody so it's at the top of their email inbox. Also, when I do a reporting reminder, I will include it in that as well. So you should get it within the next couple of months, like 2 or 3 different times. So thanks for letting me know. I don't want to have you guys miss it. So I will send that out soon.
Okay.
Okay, there was just a message from Lucy in the chat box too that she also could not find the progress report. So so that would be great, Gabrielle, if you could send that out to the rest of the group. And it looks like Lisa and Jeff have joined us, which I'm sorry I didn't see that earlier because it looks like I've got to hit the scroll bar when I'm sharing my screen. So welcome, Lisa and Jeff. We are actually just getting ready to wrap up the meeting, but we can, I don't know when you guys jumped on, but if you have any questions about what we've been discussing, please feel free to jump in. Okay, Jeff was having some internet issues. Yeah, I can understand that. Thanks, Jeff. Thanks for joining.
Yeah, Lucy and Jeff, we are recording this, so we'll send that out after, so you guys can kind of get the first section. I think you guys joined in about 9:30ish, so hopefully we'll get all the rest of the information to you.
Yeah, I am recording it and I will send that out. All right, any further questions about the reporting process? Okay. Well, as always, you can send in questions or give myself or Gabrielle a call if you have any concerns or questions about the process. All right, so before we wrap up today, I just wanted to get on everybody's calendars for a site visit sometime this spring or maybe late winter, and just wanted to know, maybe individually when the best time you feel like, if you do know at this point when the best time would be for a site visit. Of course, we will be, we will be responding to any COVID-19 recommendations or requirements from the state agency. So, we may be just do some of the site visit over the phone. It would be really helpful to do an actual physical visit, especially for just checking off the equipment and supply purchases. We do have to, any machinery or equipment, we typically do have to, observe that it has been purchased with state dollars. So, some sort of physical site visit will be really helpful for that. But I wanted to just give people a chance here in the next couple minutes to let me know of any times that they think either would work really well for them, and even, just maybe even the month would be fine, or that wouldn't work. So also just some dates to stay away from. So I think I will start with Lucy, since I see you here.
So I think our machine's not going to be done till the end of January, so you'd probably want to wait till after. So probably in February would be February or March. But not Cinco de Mayo, Amy, not Cinco de Mayo.
Okay, got it. All right, how about Michelle?
I think it's going to be the spring by the time we actually get things all together. So I think March or April would be good. Probably April to be on the safe side.
Okay. And how about you, Jeff? Okay, maybe Jeff's still having internet issues. Shantae and Art?
Fine.
We like to do ours at the beginning of February. And Shantae is looking for a date right now. Get it on the calendar. We'll email that to you as soon as we figure it out. But
Okay. All right, and Carrie?
Yeah, I think our best time would be late March or early April, seeing how we'll probably be getting the tunnels up by then, hopefully if we have some dry time.
Okay, awesome. And Lisa?
My best guess would be as late of spring as possible, just to make sure that the cooler is in stock and can be installed for you guys to see that portion.
Okay. All right, so I'll say maybe May, early May.
Yeah,
All
May
right,
would
and
be
yes.
wonderful.
Okay. And yes, Jeff, I did see April for you, so I do have that down. Thanks for putting that in the chat box. All right. Well, thanks everyone for the time today. We are just at 10 a.m. here, so I want to respect your time and end the meeting. And yeah, if you have any questions over the next month or so with your workbook, I know those will probably start to trickle in, but just please feel free to reach out to us. And Gabrielle and I are here to help.
All right. Thank you. Have a good day, everybody, and have a great Thanksgiving.
Yeah, you too. Thanks, Michelle. Happy holidays, happy holidays, everyone.
Hey, Amy, can you stay on? I need to chat with you for a few things.
Sure.
Thanks.
All right, take care, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye, Art. Bye, Shantae.
Bye.
Bye,
Bye-bye.
Carrie.
Mothers.
Bye-bye.
Bye, Lucy.
Okay, is this?